Hi, this is Frank Schaefer, and I'm a couple of things, a writer and a painter, but also the proud father of a Marine who served in Afghanistan and Iraq in signals intel as part of the NSA, one of our intelligence services. John volunteered when Bill Clinton was president, and we went to war after 9/11. And I was politically opposed to George W. Bush, though I know him personally, and actually received a handwritten letter from him thanking me for a book that John and I wrote together called Keeping Faith, a father-son story about love in the United States Marine Corps that his mom Barbara sent him. And incidentally, I did a column in 2002 out of that book for the Washington Post and got a similar handwritten note from Bill Clinton. So we had connections with presidents over the years, and back in the day when I was in the religious right before I fled to sanity and progressive politics, I was someone who was familiar with many leaders in the Republican Party. And as such, I still consider them friends, even those who have passed away, like Jack Kemp, and people like that. In fact, I campaigned for Senator McCain when he was running against George W. Bush in the primaries. So my connections with that party go back. All I can say is that if we've come to a place where today it's a big deal that a president finally admits that maybe he trusts the word of our own intelligence services, then we're at a bad place. As someone who's had a lot of connections with the Marine Corps through my son and the writing I've done on it, who met many Marine Corps generals and commanders and others, all I can say is that the thought of anybody who considers himself an honorable former Marine, like General Kelly, for instance, in the White House, who would still work for this administration when clearly it is being run by either a madman, an actual traitor who is an agent of Russia, or someone that the Russians are blackmailing, or someone who is just simply so out of touch and demented that he doesn't know what he's saying. In any case, attaching the name of an honorable Marine, whether it's the guy guarding him at the door or General Kelly in the White House, to this fiasco, this disloyal, treasonous load of garbage that he's spewing about trusting Vladimir Putin more than our own intelligence agencies, even though he tried to walk it back today, is mind-boggling. You know, there'll be people who are shocked when I say this, but I'll tell you what somebody in the White House ought to do, and that is just walk in, clap a sidearm to this president's head, march him out, and say, you are under arrest for treason, and see what happens. A lot of us would support that, and I think a case could be made. So yes, he ought to be impeached, but at a certain point, a law-abiding, patriotic American who's in the White House should either quit or try to arrest him, a citizen's arrest for treason. I think that, back in the day of Joe McCarthy, he'd already be up against a wall and being shot. This is a man who has come as close to committing treason in the office of the White House as anybody could imagine. So, these are crazy times, and I've just said something that sounds nuts. But you tell me, a man who asked for a 2-hour private meeting with no Secretary of State or anybody else there to record what was being said, what did he say to Vladimir Putin when he comes out and says, I trust him more than my own intelligence guys? This is backstabbing of our country while he's on foreign soil with our number one sworn enemy in the world. It doesn't compute. And so when we get to a place where somebody who has a son who was a Marine that he's proud of, honestly thinks that somebody like General Kelly ought to just march this son of a bitch out of the White House under arrest and or quit or both, that's where you are. At a certain point, the U.S. military is going to have to demand of Congress that they do their job. And this is going to come as close to a coup as our country's ever had. But the Republicans in Congress are enabling a traitor. There's no way to put it more simply than that. We have now reached a point where all the philandering and grabbing people by the crotch and lying repeatedly, this is no longer even an issue compared to this. We are now talking about actual treason. So all I can say is, we're at a place now that I never in my wildest imagination would have thought any Republican or Democrat would ever bring the country to. And this is only the foretaste of what is to come, unless we have a blue wave in November and put somebody in Congress, a majority in Congress, that can begin to impeach this traitor. And hopefully in the Senate as well. So we need to take back the House, and then we need to drive this man from office. But in the meantime, I say it again, John Kelly, if you have any honor, go find your old sidearm, clap it to the side of this bastard's head, march him out of the White House, call a cop, and accuse him of treason. And millions of us will back you. Thank you. My name is Frank Schaefer.